In this video, we're checking out the Kuminik8 dual-ear wireless comm system from Kane TV. Now, typically this would be used on a film set for the director to talk to the crew, or in a wedding videographer shoot, or even in a worship ministry situation. But we're going to be using it for something completely different. We're going to be using it for pro audio live sound. Now, this video is not being sponsored, and we're not being paid by Kane TV to do it. In fact, they even suggested that we try these out under demanding real-world conditions, and we said, "Are you sure about that?" Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlightstudio, and today we're looking at Kane TV's dual-ear wireless comm systems. Now, typically the one-eared version of this would be used on a film set where the director can make crew calls and still hear the ambience around them or talk to people in the production tent. But we're going to be using this for a completely different application altogether. We're going to be using this for live sound. We need a way for our live front-of-house mix engineer to talk to the mix engineer on the side of the stage or other crew members on the stage and clearly hear one another in a loud environment. All the Kuminik8 series headsets come in a surprisingly durable Pelican case that has a gasket water seal in it, and everything fits inside regardless of the size outfit that you buy. So it's complete with everything you need, including the charger, the batteries, and the DC power supply.
Power on. Your headset is connected.
These have a good solid build and are surprisingly easy to operate. When the swing arm is up, the mute's on. When the swing arm's down, that's active. Then there's 3 soft rubberized buttons. The plus button raises the volume. The center button powers the device on or off. And then the minus button lowers the headset volume. And on the master headset, the LED is red, and on all the slave headsets, the LED is blue. We are at one of the largest festivals in the Northwest. This is the Summerfest in Bend, Oregon. And in about an hour from now, this place is going to be packed full of people, and we are setting up here. We are checking out the Kuminik8 wireless comm system, but we're using it for pro audio. And this is going to allow us to talk to the crew ops and everybody during the show and backstage without having to become part of the PA stream or the monitor audio feed. So the advantage of these guys is once this is down, everybody's part of the communication. And if you want to be out of the group communication, simply click it up, and then you're taken out of the group communication. So we can see front of house is way out there. We're probably about a little less than 100 feet. That'll give us a really good idea of how well these are going to transmit with that distance and a lot of wireless interference. So let's test these out and see how they perform during a real show with a busy and crowded wireless environment.
Hey Steve, you still here on stage 1? Steve?
Hey John.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that single tier stand.
Do you need the standing keyboard stand or the sitting one?
Yeah, I need the standing one.
And the mic stand?
Yeah, Dennis needs those 2 silver ones.
Stage left?
Yeah,
All right.
He's gonna need one of them Dante boxes up stage 2 when you get a chance. Hey Steve, you still over there on the stage 2 area? I need a mic stand and one of the powered wedges.
Say again?
Powered vocal monitor. Just grab one of the Mackies.
All right, so you need
Oh, not mic stand, keyboard stand.
a stand and a monitor wedge.
Yeah.
All right.
Over at main gate.
Yep. All right, so first impressions. There's a couple things that really set these apart from a lot of the other ones that I've used, specifically the Hollyland ones, is the directional microphone. The noise canceling on this microphone is pretty impressive, and it does wonders when it goes to eliminating loud ambient sources and making communication clear. So for a live concert environment like this works wonders. These guys are dirt simple to operate. They come prepared in whatever configuration you buy. So if you buy a master and a slave, or a master and 2 slaves, master and 3 slaves, whatever, they all come automatically paired to each other. So you don't have to do any of that stuff. You literally turn them on and they work. One of the other big things about them is that they don't use proprietary power sources. They use regular Canon batteries. So these are a godsend because they're not proprietary to any specific system. They're just regular old MB6LH Canon batteries you can get anywhere. They're affordable and widely available. So if you lose them or if you need extra power on a gig or on the road, kudos to KMTV for making these guys work with a readily available power source. Next up is the distance test. KMTV states that the Kuminik8 can transmit up to 1,500 feet or 450 meters, and we want to see how close this comes to its stated specifications under real-world conditions. All right, so we are all the way here at the end of the street, and we're going to be checking our distance tester to see what kind of clarity we can get.
Hey, Steve, you still there?
John, you got us still over there?
Yeah.
Check, check, check. And how's the clarity of the signal? Is it cutting in or out?
It's not bad. I can still hear you pretty well.
All right, let's see how far away we are. So it turns out the stated range on these guys is actually pretty decent as long as it's line of sight. If you duck behind a building or an alley or something like that, then that range drops dramatically. We started to get cutouts and dropouts in our previous test as we started getting behind obstacles and things like that. And we were really at the very end of the street. That was about 1,100 feet, so pretty close to the stated range. So I would say as long as you're anywhere near the sort of 1,000-foot range and it's pretty much line of sight, you should have no trouble. We had more than enough range and communication for all the stuff we were doing without any dropouts whatsoever. And even the ability to go to some of the other stages, which were some distance away, although there were some buildings and things in the way, and still have pretty good, pretty dependable communication. So more than enough for what we're doing here today, more than enough for a wedding videography crew or a photography crew, more than enough for a film crew, unless you're just working with crazy distances. So the specs for the distance test, pretty accurate. So far these have been pretty dependable over the last several days of this whole festivals. And these have been pretty consistent in a busy wireless environment. That was a surprise. We were able to get several times the distance from us to front of house without any real interruption, so that worked out great. My only real wish list of these is if they had some kind of AUX input jack. So that, for example, if the communications director is the front of house director, meaning the guy who's running the sound, he could switch back and forth between the comm system and the board audio. That way he wouldn't have to take these off and then listen to, you know, the system going through front of house, and then put these back on to make comms calls. Now, admittedly, most of the comms is being done by the comms director or the lighting guy. So in our particular case, it wasn't that much of a struggle, but if it's a smaller crew and the front of house mix engineer is doing all the communication, it would be great to have an AUX input jack on here that would allow the front of house audio engineer to switch back and forth between front of house audio coming from the mixing board and the comms audio. So that would be a real wish list. But other than that, these have been a pretty consistent performer over the last several days of this festival. So hey, if you learned something or if this was helpful in any way, please hit the subscription and notification bells. It does help keep the channel going. Stay safe, be creative. We'll catch you guys in the next video.